Little comes up short again in Daytona. Little survives a late race junkyard. There's modified madness on the short tracks, and a leader's wreck in the Goodies Dash, and another front-running wreck in IROC. And you lucky devil, you've tuned in once again to On Pit Road Final Edition. Hi, everybody, I'm Pat Patterson. You know, it's 37-year history of the Daytona 500. It has never been postponed because of rain. But today, Mother Nature almost delivered that knockout punch. Noticed I said almost. Jason Young tells us what happened between the raindrops.
It's the season opener. It's the Super Bowl. It's the 37th annual Daytona 500 for a purse of over $3 million. At the start, it's the Dale and Dale show with Jared on the pole, Earnhardt on the outside. But it's not their show very long. Now it's Sterling Marlin along with Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin leading the 42-car field. Do you ever wonder why the networks have cameras almost everywhere? Because sometimes you get a shot like this. Joe Nemechek gets together with Brett Bodine, causing caution number 1 on lap 11. Both are okay. It's a tough day for the rookies. Davy Jones hits the wall and then goes for what must seem like the never-ending ride. He comes to a rest right in the middle of pit road. And now, believe it or not, it's raining in Daytona, and that causes the red flag to wave on lap 71. The red flag came out around 1:45 Eastern. Now it's 3:30 and time to go racing with Jeff Gordon and Sterling Marlin out front. Another caution flies on lap 158 when Randy LaJoy goes for a slide. And almost the same time, Rusty Wallace gets together with Bobby Hamilton. All of this causes yellow number 9. On lap 186, Marlin is the leader when Bobby Labonte slams the wall in turn 1. Earnhardt pits, Marlin stays out. That means Earnhardt has to play catch-up in the final 10 laps. With 5 to go, he's back to third behind Martin in second and Marlin. The Goodwrench driver gets by Martin, and the only person standing between him and victory is Marlin. On the last lap, Earnhardt doesn't have enough, so it's Sterling Marlin getting his second Daytona 500 win in a row. Martin, Ted Musgrave, and Dale Jarrett round out the top 5. For Final Edition, I'm Jason Young. And now here's a look at some other finishers from the Daytona 500.
Just another sterling performance, I'd say. And for all of you GM fans who are gloating tonight and saying Ford finally got their desserts, the truth is they've been getting clobbered the last 10 years. Chevys have won 7 500s with Buick getting 1, and the Fords have only 2 wins in that period. And one of the post-race traditions for the 500 winner is to get that special ring from Unical's suite. The company brings the winner up every time. That's where Stephanie Boyd caught up with today's winner.
Pat, we're here in the Unical suite where Sterling Marlin has just received his second Daytona 500 championship ring. And Sterling, did you think you'd make it back here again, and how good does it feel?
Well, it feels great. I tell you that the Kodak Delco Badger team gave me a great race car, and the car worked real good all day. Run great. I tell you, built a great motor, and Tony done a good job on the chassis, and, you know, all the boys there at the shop. But, it feels good to get here again. I felt like it, you know, the team was better prepared this year when we come back. And we fell off the truck flying, and we hadn't quit since.
Tell us about those last 10 laps with Dale Earnhardt coming up on you. You had to see him coming. Did you think you could hold him off?
Well, we hope so. I didn't think he would make it, you know, through the field that quick. And with the new tires, you're about a second quicker a lap. And, you know, he was coming, and, you know, Glover said, here he comes. So, you know, we got down the last 2 laps, and I just, you know, didn't want to make any mistakes and let him get up beside me because I knew it was over. But my car was real good in 3 and 4, and, you know, I knew when he didn't get beside me going down the back straightaway, we had him. So, you know, it's a special feeling. I love it.
What about that next to last caution when you got out of the pits ahead of you? Did you think you had your work cut out for you then?
Well, you know, I figured I knew it'd be real hard to pass him, and in the Busch Clash, I felt like I could have passed him there one time, and didn't. You know, I felt like if I pulled out, I would have got shuffled to the back, and you know, made my mind up today when I got an opportunity to pass him, I was going to pass him, and if he could pass him back, he could. But our car was awful stout when we got out front, and you know, that was key to winning the race.
Congratulations to you on number 2.
Okay, thank you.
Pat, that's 2 Winston Cup wins for Sterling Marlin, and they were both at the big one.
All right, thanks, Steph. There's still a lot to talk about from the Speedway, and we'll do all of that when we roll on.
On Pit Road, Final Edition is brought to you by your GM Goodwrench service dealer. We want your business. And by AC Delco. It's like buying time.
Welcome back to Final Edition, everybody. Hey, we had a new winner in yesterday's Goodies 300. Now, that shouldn't really be a news flash, but The truth is, Dale Earnhardt had won the last 5 300-mile warm-ups here, and no one else in the field had ever been victorious in this event. So now that we've set up the race, here's how it went.
There's 6 laps on the board when caution number 1 flies for this spin by Mike McLaughlin in the French's Black Flag Chevrolet. Back to green, but not for long. Patty Moise, Kirk Shelmerdine, Doug Hebron, and a few others are all involved in this major malfunction at the exit of turn 2. You're on board with Chad Little. He's able to weave his way through, and that will be very important a little later. The strongest cars early include Rodney Combs and Richard Petty's World Championship Wrestling number 43, Mike Wallace in the Duran Paints number 90, and Derek Cope in the FDP Brakes number 82. Pulsar Michael Waltrip is also running well, even though his Pennzoil Pontiac is smoking entering turn 1. How tight is pit road? That tight. Rich Bickle tries to get in as Mark Martin tries to lead. Heading into the final 30 laps, the battle up front is between Steve Grissom in the 29, Wallace in the 90, and Martin. Terry Labonte is ahead, but he's at the end of the lead lap. Then with less than 20 laps to go, Larry Pearson goes for a slide and causes the 4th caution. This might be the key to the race because it bunches the field and allows a number of cars to make pit stops. Back to green on lap 108 with Martin, Grissom, Wallace, and Dennis Setzer leading the way. Remember back at the beginning of the day, Chad Little barely missed that wreck? The reason that was important is because now with less than 10 laps to go, he's challenging for the lead. Grissom is the leader, but he gets loose, and here's the result. A 9-car crash collecting most of the leaders, including Martin, Wallace, Setzer, Derek Cope, Tracy Leslie, Jason Keller, and Bobby Gillen. Here's what Cope saw, nothing but smoke. Fortunately, no one is hurt in this wild melee with just 3 laps to go. That causes the Goodies 300 to end under caution, giving Chad Little his first victory in the Bear Extra Strength Ford. Second went to Michael Waltrip, followed by Terry Labonte, Kenny Wallace, and Rich Bickle.
How about that Rich Bickle? Come on with it. Right, Little's win is amazing in a lot of respects on the short track. Tommy Houston used to come from way back to win, but for Little to come from the parking lot is unprecedented at Daytona. Our Stephanie Boyd has been the official interviewer of Final Edition these past 2 weeks, and we put her back to work talking to Chad in Victory Lane.
Pat, it's been a long time since a Busch Series regular's been to Victory Lane in this race, but Chad Little, you did it. Tell us about that last lap there with Steve Grissom.
Well, you know, the cars were all real tight, and just running nose to tail, and when you're that close, the cars are literally sliding everywhere, and you're barely hanging on, and it was just good hard racing, and I ended up taking the wind off from underneath him, and around he went, and I thought he had it saved there, and I think he ended up everybody just bunches up. It happens so fast, and you're so close there with a couple laps to go, but I tell you, I'm just glad nobody was hurt. I hate to see a race end like this, but it's very nice being in Victory Lane for the first time, and I, of course, want to thank Bear and Harris Teeter, our sponsors, and Ford and the International Trucks, and everybody who's been a part of my career so far, and I hope this isn't the last time.
Chad, you struggled earlier in the week, and you had to work your way up through the field. What was the key to getting to the front in this race?
Well, we had a good car. We unloaded the car with some type of an electrical miss, and we had such a little practice time. We qualified with it, and it showed. We had to take a provisional, and then, we tried to troubleshoot it, and it just took a long time to find it. We never did find it. We finally just changed everything humanly possible that could cause it, and it went away. So we really don't know what caused it, but when it went away, the car was running like it normally was, or should have been, and I just had to take my time. I was out there back in the back running with maybe some slower cars, so I knew I had a good car. I just had to, take my time and be as patient as I can. I got hooked up with Terry Labonte there for a long time, and that helped. And at the end, with 15 laps to go, it was time to do whatever we could, and, we had a little bit of luck today.
Well, congratulations to you.
Thanks, Stephanie.
So, Pat, there you have it. Chad Little back in Victory Lane.
I love it. The Bear car wins the Goodies race. What a PR headache, right? Here's a look at some of the other finishes in the Grand National season opener as we head to break. Don't you go away. We'll be right back. Hey, hold it right there, you button pusher. This is Pat Patterson, and we're talking to you from the Classic Museum in Daytona Beach as we are doing on Pit Road Final Edition. That's right, it's the end-all, be-all racing show on Sunday night. You'll be here each and every week. That's what we want you to do. Now, if you're up in the Northeast and you've been dealing with all the snow, you probably need to get yourself down here. If you're a racer with a dirt modified, you probably thought about heading south for some fun and sun and racing, and that's exactly what a number of drivers did for 4 nights here in Florida's Dirt Tour.
St. Augustine Speedway played host to the Dirt Mods from the Northeast. All the top stars looking to kick off 95 with a championship, since Wheels was putting up a bonus for the top point getter over 4 nights. On Tuesday night, the Double Zero of Florida native and modified legend Buzzy Ruderman and Jeff Hetzler gave the fans an early indication of what to expect over the next 4 evenings. This was a 30-lap feature. The half-mile speedway at St. Augustine conquered this night by Hetzler. 24 hours later, the big block boys are back at it again, and it's a high-low job by Doug Hoffman in the 60 over. He'll go high on Steve Payne, low on Guy Shelton, and heads toward apparent victory. In the meantime, Jamie Mills gets sideways, and when it's all said and done, Scott Prentice is performing an early-season modified mating ritual on Ruderman. Hoffman wins it in his Coors-sponsored mounts.
There was 2 lanes, and I was able to use the top early going, but once they started blowing that loose dirt out, that outside lane started going away, but my car just felt so good, I felt like I could run anywhere.
Thursday, some fun on a restart. Ralph Spithaler chips some concrete while Jimmy Horton puts on a mini thrill show. And when does a 7 beat a pair of deuces? The first number 2 to fall victim is Jimmy Hauser. The 7 on the move is Steve Payne. He's going to shove the other deuce of Craig Mullen aside, called the Payne lane, and with good reason. There it is. And Payne carries it to the victory Thursday night. And finally, Friday night with a full house in $4 grand awaiting the first to complete 50 laps, plus the 4-night title hanging in the balance. It was sure to be a great show, and it is. Inside, it's Danny Johnson and Horton trading paint, but probably not phone numbers. Hoffman makes a bold move to get by Horton to get into second, and the top 2 points getters soon get together. The low side should be the preferred line, but a good and long dose of muscle from the race leader proves just a bit too much to handle, and the doctor heads to the $4,000 pay window. Johnson wins the battle with Kenny, Buzzy, and Barefoot the rest of the leaderboard, but Hoffman is the Florida Tour champ by 1 point.
Now, last Sunday night, didn't I see the guy to my left, Doug Hoffman? He told us all about how great he was going to do, and bet you by golly, wow, he went out and did that. He really did. He got a second, a third, and a win. Congratulations, man. You guys were hooked up, fired up, and getting it done this week.
It sure feels good, you know, travel all this way and start the new year off with a feature win and winning a series title. What a great way to start the year.
Tell us about the week. Obviously, you did a lot of things right. What do you think? You had a lot of competition this week as well.
The first night we had a lot of problems. We really bombed. We had a 26th place finish, and we rebounded back to win the second night, and we just really had a superior car from that point on. The third night we started 18th, and track had gotten a lot of loose dirt on it, so we really struggled, but we were able to get up to third. And then the last night we had a real strong car again, and we raced Danny for probably 40 of the 50 laps, and he made his car as wide as he could, but it was just a great race, and we ended up second, and we won the title with that, so we're real happy.
A good 2-groove racetrack, or was this a well, you qualify and basically that's where you're going to finish kind of race?
Well, for most of the guys really did struggle. We just ended up hitting on a setup that we were able to make an outside lane and use the outside lane to my advantage. Nobody else was out there, and it actually, the track got a lot like blacktop, and I run blacktop on a Saturday night, so it really, the track just came to me, and we ended up having a good setup for that track.
Was it a finesse kind of deal? I mean, you know, when you get it hung out, and I mean, to be able to get it back in the groove and battle the people that are down there below, you've really got to have some real good timing and some good feel for it.
Well, you end up, like watching my dirt car was probably like watching an asphalt car on blacktop. I mean, I just kept the car real smooth and real straight and didn't get to hang it out too much. But a couple times me and Danny got together and we got really crossed up. But that's one thing nice about dirt. You can save a car. You can get completely out of shape and bring the thing back. And you know, me and Danny really got to some banging on the last race. But it was a lot of fun.
Tell me what this does in terms of your confidence setting up this coming season. You got to walk away from here and feel like, you know, you're loaded for bear and ready to go.
Well, that's the way I feel. You know, it's going to be a tough season. It's a tough group of guys, but we started the year off. Now I kind of feel like we're on a roll, and we're just going to try and keep it going. You know, we're going to go back home. Some of the season openers in Hagerstown will be in March, and that's just, you know, just a couple weeks away. So I'm real excited about getting the season off to to a start just the way we started down here.
You got some snow tires for that thing? March? Are you kidding me? 2 weeks from now? You guys are going to be out there breaking the ice, aren't you?
Actually, the sprint cars will be breaking the ice up there in late February, the last weekend of February, and we'll be running right after them. But if there's no snow, we'll be racing.
Talk about as far as the expectations this year. I know that you want to get the championship, but is it something that you really feel like you've got all the equipment, all the people to get it done?
Well, this year I think this is my best year sponsorship-wise. Coors has come back with me. Wheels Discount, all the supply stores have come back. I'm all set sponsorship-wise. My team has really matured. I mean, I got my brother as the crew chief, and we really just click on setups. He knows what I want. I don't, you know, we really come together on setups, and I think that's made the biggest difference. We have a lot of experience together, and all the other guys that have been helping me, they've really matured, and I think I'm at a point in my career where I'm ready to do this Skull Super Dirt Series and finally win it for a change.
Well, good. You've been with us the first 2 shows. I don't know that we're going to create a permanent position for you, but you never know. I mean, stick around. We might see you again next week, even though you're not racing anywhere, right, Doug? We appreciate you spending some time with us.
Well, it sure was fun coming back.
Congratulations on a great week. Coming up in a little bit later, we've got just about as much NASCAR-style modified action from the Sunshine State as any fan could want as On Pit Road Final Edition rolls on. Back live to Daytona Beach, everybody. We're at the Classic Auto Museum right here doing it for you live because it's just as cheap as doing it on tape. Every race series has some scheduling challenges, but you have to have some sympathy for the International Racing Champions. They have to know the drivers' schedules, the racetracks, and everything they want to run. The makeup of this year's event had half the field from Winston Cup Racing, but the lone IndyCar representative gave a very good account of himself, even in the final finishing positions didn't quite show it.
It was a kaleidoscopic cornucopia of talent. In other words, we had a bunch of good drivers in pretty cars. A NASCAR boy, Ricky Rudd, drew the pole for the 40-lap Dodge Avenger Sprint, but the green car of Al Unser Jr. shows the stock car boys a thing or two about super speedway racing. The IndyCar champ has always driven IROC well, and he's run the 500, so he knows a thing or two about stocks at Daytona. He leads the most laps. School doesn't go serious until the last lap, and that's when Unser is taught about the draft by Dale Earnhardt. The race is effectively over here as the Dominator goes on to win by 2 car lengths over Trans Am champ Scott Pruitt. He's the only non-NASCAR finisher in the top 5. The only solace Unser gets is a higher starting position in the next round since they invert this race's finish order.
And our designated interviewer, Stephanie, was back at it again, catching up with Mr. Earnhardt.
Pat, what an incredible IROC race. Dale, you had quite a race there going with Al Unser Jr. in the last 10 laps, but tell me about the last one.
Well, he would pass us in going in 1, and he went on the bottom, and he got away from us a little bit, and all the cars got back in a line, were drafting really fast up on him, and I moved down, I moved up, moved down, he went down, I went back up and committed myself, and I just got the left front up to just about behind his tire, and he kept coming over, and he pinched me into the wall. I jammed the brakes on, spun him out. We was lucky not to get caught up into it, too. It's unfortunate. I didn't, I hate that to happen. That ain't no way to win an IROC race. The guys are great champions and everything, and I'm a big admirer of Little Al. So hate it happened.
How tough was the draft on you guys out there today?
Well, you had to draft to run with them, and that's what it's all about, is the drafting. We always draft, and that's what it took to get to the front.
Well, congratulations to you on your 5th IROC victory. Okay, Pat.
Coming up this week during our On Pit Road preview show, we'll look ahead to the change in the atmosphere between Daytona and Rockingham, and we'll be back with more Final Edition right after this. Welcome back to Final Edition, everybody, where we're having much too much fun. If you're just joining us, here are some of the big winners of the last few days in racing. Of course, Sterling Marlin is the big winner in the Daytona 500 after holding off a late race challenge from Dale the Dominator, who once again goes home winless from the 500. Chad Little wins his first Busch Grand National race after a big crash wipes out 6 front runners with 2 laps to go. Dale Earnhardt wins round 1 of IROC, and Lance DeWeese is the overall winner in the Club All-Star visit to East Bay. Last weekend, we covered the first 2 nights of the modified portion of the 29th Annual Asphalt World Series. There was fantastic racing over the final 6 nights.
The action continued Sunday night, and there's some nice driving early to keep things green. But that doesn't last for long as Bert Marvin loses a tire. Then you've got Steve Park in the double O going for a backstretch skate. He almost emerges cleanly, but Dan Watts comes into the picture. Kids don't try this on a restart. That's Bruce D'Alessandro riding along with Tom Baldwin for a turn. Mid-race up front and more AAA piloting when second-place Tim Conley gets a bit out of shape. Actually, a nudge by Jamie the Jet cocks him the right way. The Tuesday win, a wire-to-wire job, goes to Ted Christopher. Tuesday night, another 25 laps. Pity for Ken Woolley. He gets the worst of some D'Alessandro contact. Later at the other end of the track, more fun and games for the 40 car that ends his night. This night, it's Conley's night to shine, even though the track lights weren't. Wednesday, most of the fun came just past mid-race on a restart when leader Christopher gets on the brakes while those behind are leaning on the other pedal. Almost the whole inside lane goes askew, and the leader is one of them. That opens the door for Conley, who not only goes on to win Wednesday, but Thursday as well. The result is the same on Friday, but how it happens is a little dramatic. Early on, Ted Christopher is in trouble for the first, but not the last time. And this is just great close quarter racing here with Tommy Cravino, Conley, and Mikey Winitsko putting on a show. 3 wide at New Smyrna. It's possible. Christopher gets a dose of someone else's tire, and that sets up the drama thing I mentioned earlier. Conley's in the lead. Iwanitsky wants it, but instead ends up wearing someone else's modified. He gets the most damage. And yes, Conley does it again, which pretty much wraps up the Florida Mod Division title for him. But Saturday night was the big one, 100 laps, and this was the best show of the week. You've got Cravino providing a little additional illumination. You've got Conley on the charge yet again. But at the 3/4 mark, he has to be hauled off on a hook on pit road, and he's done for the night. The final quarter is vintage modified. Tom Baldwin leads a restart, but Cravino wants the spot, so he tries to go through instead of around. Tim Ayer gets a close-up view, in fact, a closer-up view of the 7 than he'd like. Cravino then gets a challenge from Christopher for several laps, and watch what the double O of Steve Park does. Just a touch, and the lead changes hands in a big way. Now keep watching, because as the field heads down toward turn 1, Bruce D'Alessandro isn't going to give ground to Ayer, and he's out of the groove again. With Park still leading the 13 and 44 battle for second, we're not done. Ted wants the lead. Steve doesn't want to give it up. Steve wins this battle and then fights off a fierce final half-lap threat from Baldwin to take his first and only win of the Asphalt Modified World Series. Cravino cracks the top 5. Eric Beers is 4th, D'Alessandro 5th. This is Mark Allen reporting for On Pit Road, Final Edition.
Now, don't you go away, because if you do, you'll miss the other half of the show. Be right back. Tired of hearing about nothing but racing from Florida? Well, take a short break and we'll head west, where it had to be drier than it was here today. The NHRA wrapped up its second event of the year, and here's Jason Young again.
Let's start with Funny Car. Al Hoffman has his Western Auto machine in the number 1 slot with a 514, along with a speed of 294 miles per hour. But this was his not-so-perfect run on Friday night. On one wheel and sideways, Hoffman keeps hold and doesn't hurt the car too bad. In top fueled Lane Johnson is the top qualifier in the Travers Tool Rail. He flew down the Firebird International Raceway quarter mile with a near-record 472, along with a near-record speed of 310 miles per hour. Johnson is obviously very pleased with his run. In Pro Stock, Warren Johnson is the man at the top, heading into final eliminations. He runs a 706 at a tick under 197 miles per hour in the GM Performance Parts Oldsmobile. That was qualifying. Now it's time for the finals. It's Shelly Anderson in the Slick 50 rail going against the rookie Larry Dixon driving the Miller Genuine Draft rail for Don Perdone. The start is close, but smoking tires by Anderson gives Dixon the easy win in only his second top fuel race. He runs a 482 with a speed of 300 miles per hour. In funny car, it's John Force in the Castrol Pontiac taking on Tom Hoover. Last year, Force lost at Pomona in the season opener, and then he came back to win Phoenix. Well, 2 weeks ago, he lost in Pomona, and now he's looking to make a repeat performance from last year. Hoover never gets up to speed, and it's John Force easily taking the win with a 505, along with a speed of 298 miles per hour. And finally, in Pro Stock, it's Darrell Alderman in the Mopar machine looking for his second win in a row. He faces off against Pennzoil sponsor Jerry Ekman. Ekman leads at the green, but at half-track he breaks. That hands the win to Alderman. The defending champ's ET was a 707, along with a speed of 194 miles per hour.
Attaboy, J-Man. Now let's take a couple of wheels off for the AMA Arena Cross action.
Recently, someone asked me if the AMA Arena Cross races are fun to watch. Well, let me tell you a little bit about the shows this series puts on. You've got the jump-off competition. In this contest, riders try their best to out-style each other by taking their feet off the pegs. They take their arms off the handlebars. But I'm still waiting for a rider to try and take both feet and arms off at the same time. I have a feeling that might not work very well. The winner is the rider who gets the most applause. There's a dash for cash, and it's exactly what it sounds like, a short race for cash and bragging rights. Another fan favorite is the Pee Wee Racers. This is the youngest riders. Sometimes they need a little help making it over the jumps. They may have trouble now, but these little two-wheelers will probably be the stars of tomorrow. Here's a few names to remember: Zach Marshall, Tyler Grubb, William Hicks, Jared Burgess, and Michael Willard. These are just a few of the riders who did well here in Cincinnati. You've also got what is considered the experts, the 125cc and 250 classes. And yes, this is where the serious competition will keep you on the edge of your seat. This is round 10 of the Arena Cross season. It's the Budweiser Arena Cross Nationals sponsored by Yamaha. On this night, Jimmy Gaddis takes the win, and his points lead is good enough for the 125 title. But that wasn't it for Gaddis. He made it a double by winning the 250 main and taking the 1995 Arena Cross Championship. The series final event takes place next weekend at the Denver Coliseum in Denver, Colorado.
You're watching On Pit Road Final Edition. How do you like it? We'll be back with more racing here in Florida. Sorry, it's where everybody's racing, so what are you going to do, right? We'll see. Pit Road Final Edition. The World of Outlaws has made Florida its traditional season opening state. The past few years, St. Augustine Speedway was the site for 2 nights of racing and 1 night of soup.
Danny Lasowski was on the pole for the first night of Outlaws racing at St. Augustine, looking to make it 3 in a row after winning his previous 2 races with the Club All-Star Circuit. At the drop of the green, the dude looks like he hasn't missed a beat as he thrusts his 47 machine in front of the field. 5M Mark Kinzer is the guy trying to catch him. He's driving for his dad, Carl, who used to turn the wrenches for Mark's cousin and the King, Steve Kinzer. Behind Kinzer, it's Jeff Swindell in the 7TW trying to catch the leaders, but no one has anything for Lasowski, who easily dominates from flag to flag to score his 3rd win in less than a week. The following night, it's Lasowski on the pole once again, but this time Kinzer gets the jump at the start. The white and orange 5M is smoking in this one, and Kinzer won't let anyone get near. The only incident of the night happens when Tommy Denton slams the wall coming out of turn 2. He's okay. Then back to racing, and Kinzer still pulls away from the field. Greg Hodnett is running a distant second with Lasowski in tow back in 3rd. On the final lap, the dude gets by the 8TW for the runner-up spot, but he's nowhere near the leader, who easily goes on to score the night 2 win. On the 3rd and final night, the fog rolls in, and the conditions are horrible for racing. They try to get the feature started, but after a couple of nasty false starts, the drivers are complaining that they can't see, and officials decide to call the action until Sunday evening.
And now, joining me live, the driver of the Gold Eagle machine and my stunt double for my next action motion picture, Jeff Swindell. Nice to see you, my friend. A 3rd, a 2nd, and a What? You didn't win any races, but you guys had some good runs up there.
Well, you know, we was just kind of take it easy on them. You know, I didn't want to go out and scare everybody to death and just win all the races right off the bat this year. We're going to win the championship this year, so I figured I'd just kind of sneak up on them. You know?
Well, you realize that Kinzer has a full-time job over here with the Quaker State team, so the opportunity is there for you and a couple other people that think they'll end up being the champion this year. Why, pray tell, do you think you have the better opportunity?
Well, I think just from the way things have been going over the last 7-8 months. We got hooked up with the Gold Eagle team about a year and a half ago. We've been working on things and got it better and better, and then finally about the middle of last season we really got it hooked up. We started running the top 5 just about every night, winning several races, a few in a row, and I was either in the top 5 or I was on my head, you know. So we've just got the momentum going with us right now, and just like these first 3 nights. I mean, we didn't win one of them, but we were in the top 5 all 3 nights, you know. So and right there, and actually I passed Mark for the lead early on tonight, and we got a little rain earlier before the race.
Right.
The bottom of the racetrack had some water on it. Mark kind of got me down into the water, and then when he did that, I went from 1st back to 7th and had to fight my way back to 3rd.
You guys run perhaps the longest schedule of any sanctioning body in the country with almost 100 nights of racing. Surely there's got to be some rhyme and reason as to how you win a championship. You know, Kinzer did it 13 years in a row, figuring out how to be consistent. And would you not say that that's the key ingredient in all of this?
Well, he consistently won.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing, you know. And the other key there is he and Carl, his owner and crew chief, were together that whole amount of time too.
Right.
So that made the big difference. You know, this is about as long as I've ever been with anybody, and I don't know how I put up with them 2 old guys that own the car, but they, well,
They'll like that, I'm sure.
But
it's late night TV. You can say that. They probably didn't hear it.
But they're a lot of fun to be around. The crew's working really good. I don't touch a race car anymore. I've owned my own race car most of the years I've run, and I don't have to worry about anything. I show up to the racetrack, drive the race car, and that's all I do.
All right, not that you would give any credit to any of these other guys racing you, but if you had to pick who's going to be the tough competition, I guess Lasowski certainly has to fall in there. Mark Kinzer's going to fall in there. Who else do you feel like it will be contenders along with you to win the championship?
Well, honestly, I think it's going to be a couple of guys that really didn't shine this week. I think it's going to be Dave Blaney. I mean, he's run 2nd, I think, in points for the last 2 years. Andy Hillenberg, which was 3rd last year, almost got him by 1 point, ended up 4th, but he had problems all week. I think it's going to come down to those 2 and myself. Danny Lasowski, he's going to win a lot of races this year, but I think he's got some season work to do, you know, to learn all the racetracks. He's not used to going to all these different racetracks that we're used to going to. So it's going to be a little tougher on him when we get out to some of the different racetracks.
Have you and Tom Winter and Bob Kramer, the guys that you work very closely with, have you guys sat down and said, here's our strategy, or are you just standing on it every night and hoping that is the strategy or the ingredients that make it all work?
Well, they called me a year and a half ago, wanted me to come back and run the car. They'd split up with their driver. So I told him, yeah, I'll come back and I'll try it for 10 nights and see if me and the crew could work together. And I didn't think we could, but ended up we did. I told him, I said, have lots of parts ready. I'm going to drive it till it either gets to the checkered or it hits the wall, and we got to replace a lot of parts. So they knew that attitude going in. That's the attitude we've had the whole time, and basically that's what we've turned out to do the last half a year. So it's really been good.
How well prepared are you for tomorrow's big event?
Oh gosh, that's going to be the tough one. You can't ever get prepared for
all his
this.
kids and wife in a Winnebago, 12 hours to Memphis from Daytona. Should be a big event for you tomorrow. You
I
ready for
appreciate
that.
I appreciate that.
You're all set to make that trip? And
well, I'm kind of hoping I can talk the wife into doing the driving. I can get back in the back and lock the door, you know, maybe turn some movies on.
All you folks on the interstate, heads up tomorrow. Okay, good to see you, man.
Thanks,
Congratulations on a good start. After this, more Florida Wing sprint car action. And you may want to pop some more popcorn because these highlights coming up last almost as long as some old movies. On Pit Road, a final edition. Glad you've joined us. Some of the same drivers who raced in the World of Outlaws these last few days got a tune-up with the Club All-Stars. We showed you some of that All-Star action from Volusia County Speedway on last Sunday's show. Here's a whole lot more.
After 4 nights of racing at Volusia County Speedway, fans had a pretty good idea of who would contend for the $5,000 top prize in the All-Stars final appearance at that half mile. Danny Lasowski is on the pole, which isn't good news for everybody else. The dude had won the night before. NCRA hot shoe Gary Wright in number 9 is in 2nd place until getting hooked up with a lap car. And check out the formation spinning. The Wild Child gained a spot with that maneuver. Series points leader Terry McCarl stalled on the front stretch, and that ended his night. It got down to the last lap with Pod chasing Lasowski, but second's the best he can do as the dude makes it 2 in a row. The Tour headed cross-state to East Bay Speedway for 4 nights of racing. B-main action, and we do mean action, sees Jack Hewitt start this little 4-car tangle that has George Austin airborne with Kenny Jacobs and Danny Smith also involved. Gary Wright, who hadn't had much luck at Volusia, turns the table on Dame Fortune. He storms by Lance DeWeese in turn 2, and this is what they call a jump cut in TV. Same spot, same result a little later, but this time Wright picks off leader Tim Norman, and from there the Texan is untouchable.
Tonight we come here and unloaded a car, and it was great. We didn't touch the car all night long. We were great. We had to start 4th row on kind of the inversion. We got to the lead. The last 5 laps the car got loose, but you know, it was good until right there the last 5 laps when we had a big enough lead to hang on.
No, we're not repeating footage from the night before. That's right again on Thursday, giving All-Star champ Frankie Kerr a headache and a quick lesson in how to use traffic. Meanwhile, there's a crowd-pleasing but driver-scaring wheelie by Billy Pauch, not something you want to do at 100 miles per hour. Wright won't be denied, and high-sides Kerr for the lead. This is called Hooked Up, and it's good for another Victory Lane Trophy presentation for the Texan. All right, Friday night's not quite a full moon, but it will work for what we're trying to do here. Chuck Reinert has a very short evening. This heat race tumble puts him on the sidelines. Wright is mired back in 10th on the start, so it seems like it might be someone else's night to shine. Billy Pauch in the number 1 takes the early lead with another Pennsylvania Posse member, Lance DeWeese, tagging along. Now Wright's moving up, but not for long when George Austin spins. Kevin Huntley is also collected. The leader has a dicey time or two, like when the 3 and 61 spin in front of him. Another near miss a bit later, but the fastest man on dirt goes on for his first feature win.
Well, since we unloaded over in Volusia last week, we were pretty quick in time trials and finish, and when we did finish. But, you know, we've just been getting better every night. Last night we felt we were real fast, but we had some stagger problems, and it loosened the car up too much. Tonight, the brake starting on the pole, that helped a whole bunch. But I think we're good enough here to pass, you know. I mean, the car's on a roll, and, you know, I got to give Davey Brown a lot of credit. The thing's hooked up.
The final night, Pauch is the East Bay points leader, which nets him $1,500 and the outside of row 3 for the $10,000 to win finale. Kelly Kinzer is on the pole on the inversion and leads for a moment or two. But there's that Wright fellow again, and he's back in form, and the lead changes for the first time. The final red flag in Florida comes out for Joey Saldana and Sam Rodriguez, but a little wing repair and they both return. Wright gets mid-race pressure from DeWeese, and it doesn't take much of a mistake for the second lead change of the evening. Wright's miscue causes a broken driveline, and that does it for him. Perseverance pays off for DeWeese, who was in front when the 50-lap feature ends.
Thank God we had a safe race, and I was just real happy. I mean, we a couple years ago ran out fuel leading this race for 2 to go, and we've always been pretty good down here, so I'm really happy for my owner and me.
DeWeese is the Winter Nationals champion. Fred Raymer takes second with Keith Kaufman, Steve Kent, and Todd Schaefer next.
Sprint car racing, a perfect segue to Las Vegas. Well, not perfect, but it'll work. Mel Larson is with us, and Mel, of course, ran the beach roads here in Daytona and was very involved in NASCAR for many, many years, and now is the executive director of the to-be-built Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and we really appreciate you hanging out. And I know you enjoyed the 500 out there today.
That was a great race. It really was. And, of course, I was rooting for Dale, but by golly, he's won enough this week, I guess. So, but Sterling has been a long-time friend, and I used to race with his dad, Cuckoo, and so I was happy to see the way it came out.
Let's talk about that new racetrack in Las Vegas that Richie Klein, the developer there, and of course you're a longtime resident there of Las Vegas, and I know you're excited about the facility. Tell us a little bit about the actual racetrack. What will fans see 18 months from now?
Well, they're going to see a 1.5 mile tri-oval, 12-degree bank in the turn, so the Indy cars can run on it, and also the stock cars will be more competitive and, you know, can run 2 and 3 abreast. And it will have a 3-mile road course, a great industrial park, and Carroll Shelby will have all of his engineering companies and his tire companies and everything right there. And 107,000 seats when it opens up, 100 suites, and it's going to be a first-class deluxe speedway the day it opens, rather than, you know, building it part way and adding to it. It's going to be 100% complete. Adjacent to I-15 freeway, it'll have its own exit from the freeway, as well as Las Vegas Boulevard, which is the Strip, and it'll be 7 miles north of the Strip in Las Vegas. So it's going to be a first-class facility from day one.
I very fortunately was around for some of the festivities that took place in Las Vegas, and I was really impressed, Mel, with how well the business community there is embracing the idea of having, you know, a full-time, first-class motor facility like that.
Well, it's an adjunct to what we have now with the hotels, casinos, first with Circus, where I was for 20 years as vice president, and then the MGM theme park, and Treasure Island and Mirage, you know, Steve Wynn's resorts, and all of the places, the Luxor, Excalibur, everything is built now around the families, which, as I say at Circus, we were the forerunners, the pioneers, and it's worked so well, and so many other activities for the families, and creating, you know, just an adult fantasy land.
At some point within this next 12 months, will fans be able to even begin to order tickets for events that will be scheduled in 1996?
Oh yes, in very short order. We'll be you know, building mailing lists and sending out information, and we'll probably have you talk about it a little bit from time to time. But the people will soon know where, when, and how to get it, what tickets, what events, and we propose a Winston West race. We hope we can get that sanctioned for next year in the fall, and Tony George's Indy Racing League is scheduled for September of '96, and so it's going to be a real happening, but it's underway, and it is going to happen. A lot of people talk about, oh, I guess there's been hundreds of racetracks talked about, including one that I proposed in 1960, trying to raise $1 million to build a 1-mile speedway then, and of course now the price has gone up a little bit, $75 million. But the money's in place. One person has all the money. It's in the bank, so we're not going out looking for money. It's there, and we're ready to go.
Good to see you. We look forward to seeing that speedway come out of the ground. Mel Larson, Executive Director of the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Don't go anywhere. We've still got a little bit more racing to bring you, so don't turn that light out yet. Stay with us. I know there are some of you watching out there wondering why we haven't talked about the NASCAR's Goody Dash Series. That's because we've saved some of the best for last. The 200-mile show was Friday at the big track.
168 cylinders were ready to challenge the Speedway. That's 42 cars for you math majors. The 65 of Will Hobgood is on the pole, but Tour veteran Larry Caudill gets the jump from the outside front row to lead the first turn and lap. The early circuits are pretty clean until David Hutto tests the inside concrete wall and finds it meets code for hardness. But the big wreck comes past mid-race, and it's for the lead. Hobgood and Edward Howell are battling in front, and whether Howell gets tapped is open to debate. Suffice to say that first and second are done for the day, but wrecks at Daytona often take some time to develop, and Dan Pardis is the third driver who carts off what's left of his car. All drivers okay. So who had the horses when it mattered? Caudill, who came from 6th on a late restart, and his Dodge Daytona was wide enough to get home first.
All the wins that I've had are sweet, but Daytona means a lot. I'd like to dedicate this to my dad and a good friend, Charlie Moore, that couldn't be here.
A couple of teenagers finished 3rd and 4th.
Man, I've had a good time tonight. What do you say, guys? Let's expand it to 90 minutes.
No!
Tough crowd, tough crowd. And before we go, we'll tell you this. We really appreciate all the folks at Classic Museum here in Daytona Beach taking care of us. We'll be back next Sunday night. You make your plans to be here, too. It's On Pit Road, final edition. I'm Pat Patterson. See you next week.
Communications provided by Racing Electronics. For a free